Definitely. And Mike, just in response to what Brian and Rob have both said, when you think about maybe what the Seahawks have done, if the roles were reversed and if these wide receivers were on different teams, obviously they were going neck and neck all season. What do you think the Seahawks and how do you think the Seahawks would handle that? Would they be as willing to extend that wide receiver?
Oh no, I think John's learned learned a lesson there because he's done it a few times where he's like brought in a guy and it's like, yeah, we were just saying we wanted to see there from like a character standpoint because sometimes like you can be a model citizen all through college, high school, and then you just get to the pros and just get to bugging. That happens. But then sometimes the breadcrumbs are there. I think an example of that is Malik McDowell. Like they just kind of ignored like all the signs there because they thought they were getting a top 10 talent with like pick 35 or something. And it was like, well, why is he available at 35, you guys? And then, that came back to bite them in an unexpected way. But and some of their trades have gone south in that same way. So, I think an example of what Brian's alluding to maybe with Reek was Frank. It was like, should we give Frank Clark $100 million? Like, probably not. Love Frank. 100 million at that time in Frank's life with the history at the time of before they drafted Frank and after, is like, probably not a great idea. Send you to Kansas City, So I think we have enough data points to know that, probably not giving a market setting deal to someone who is on TMZ more than once within before the season even changes. Just bad statistics there. I mean, how many catches you have? It's like number of appearances on TMZ is like that also matters too. If I'm gonna give you a 9-figure contract.
Hey, well, we love the publicity that JSN is getting. I loved the Seahawks just tweeting out, and I think they even posted on Instagram, just the cowboy hat emoji. I was like, for those of you that know, JSN was like undefeated in a cowboy hat when he showed up to the game. I just thought that was a nice little touch. But yeah, very excited for JSN and the positive news that we're getting out from that. But from another wide receiver, we all got excited last week that we were going to be seeing #more Bobo in Seattle. Then the Jags threw us for a little loop there for a second. But the Seahawks, they did decide to match the offer, and he will be back for another 2 years with the Seattle Seahawks. Rob, did you expect this to happen?
I mean, I didn't necessarily expect it, nor not expect it, if that makes sense. Like I was interested to see what the Seahawks were going to do because the offer did not seem, it wasn't so bad that you could easily say the Seahawks just balking at the idea of paying it. But at the same time, it just seemed to be trending that he was going to leave. So interesting they brought him back. I kind of feel as if they've assessed what this offseason is and they've had the combine and been able to speak to all the different teams there. They've seen what's in free agency and they've been able to sort of take a step back after the first real flush of free agency's done. And it seems to me as if they've just decided it might not be possible to get that big trade. We obviously talked a lot about Max Crosby at the start of the offseason. It might not be possible to land somebody like that, although who knows what's going to happen in the next month. So the best chance Seattle has of being very competitive again next year is to bring back as many of the pieces that you can from last season. And then when you have lost players, Ken Walker, Reek Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Boya Mafe, try to find ways to replace them in the draft. And then obviously after the draft, there are still a number of free agents out there who presumably now are going to wait till after the draft, who could be interesting. So I think that's their plan. And bringing Bobo back in, if that is the plan, it makes sense. Like he made some big plays at the end of the season. He's a good special teamer, good blocker. Why not? So I think it makes sense if their plan is to try and bring as many people back as possible.
Well, Mike, I know Brian was calling this maybe Operation Run It Back is basically complete. I think I heard him say, do you feel like there's maybe one more missing puzzle piece, or what would maybe make that full Operation Run It Back complete in your mind?
Probably one more edge rusher, probably. And I'd be like set there. But they're probably factoring in. Well, you get the draft, obviously, but then also like if you want to kick the tires on like Von Miller or something, you don't need to do that today. You just wait. But also like Riley Mills is a factor there as well. He's a little heavier than someone like Boye, so not a total 1-for-1, but enough versatility. You can probably like if you don't get an edge rusher you like, and then Von Miller, Jadeveon Clowney, and like Cameron Jordan, whoever else is out there, Bosa, all tell you to kick rocks in like May, you can get by maybe. And then see what's up at the deadline. So I really do think the roster is in really good shape. I think like Puka TMZ appearance aside, the Rams roster is in good shape too. That should be fun again. But I want to read this from Jake actually, who officially signed today. This is what whenever they signed, you guys have probably noticed they've been talking to either Airy or John Boyle, the in-house reporters. And some of the quotes are like pretty illuminating. Some of them are just like, "Hey, I'm glad to be back and going back to Cabo after I signed my deal." But like, I want to read some of what Jake had to say to John today. He said, "This organization gave me a shot in the NFL. I owe my career to this organization. Be able to stay here and build on what we've already built. It means a whole lot for John and the guys upstairs to put trust in me, to help this organization. I didn't want to go anywhere else. Obviously, it looked like there was a shot I was going to end up in Jacksonville, but in the back of my mind, I was hoping these guys upstairs would make something happen, and they did. I was incredibly thankful for that." And he says some more there. It's up on Seahawks.com. That was really cool because, like, I don't fault Jake either way, but like Rob was mentioning, it was an either way type of thing. If Jake had taken the money, which was more at the time than the Seahawks were offering, like, and he gets the ball more, like he's not gonna get the ball here, like much at all. If everyone stays healthy, that's just a reality. Jake knows that. He also doesn't care, which is like cool for Jake that makes him happy. Because if he had left and gave a statement in Jacksonville, it was like, I love my time in Seattle. You know, I want to grow my game a lot more, you know, and be more involved in the offense. I'm excited for new opportunity, whatever. I'd have been like, that's great for Jake too. But they kind of abolished the public nature of the NFL report cards by the NFLPA, although of course they leaked anyway. But I think the value of those was showing like some organizations are legitimately just better than others. You know, you can get into the details of why, location, state income tax, coaching staffs, training rooms, travel, whatever. But that stuff does show up around this time of the offseason. These players talk, these agents talk, you know, like, and so obviously Jake didn't have to ask anybody about how Seattle is, but I do think it was notable that like he basically turned down, he's getting the money now, but like he was going to get a raise and more targets, you know, in theory in Jacksonville, and was like, nah, I'll cover punts and be wide receiver 5, you know, because I love it here. That's cool. Good for him. Again, I'm glad that makes him happy. You know, that's cool because not every guy's wired that way. And I understand when the guys aren't, but I do want to highlight it when they're just like, you know what, I love it here so much.